gentlemen, announcing the arrival of Chief Minister of Sabah, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Muhammad Shafie bin Haji Apdal. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a warm welcome and a round of applause. And together with him, we have also Yang Berbahagia, Saudara Edward Ang, together with Yang Berhormat Dr. Datuk Haji Jaojan bin Haji Sambakong, Deputy Chief Minister cum Minister of Local Government and Housing. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please kindly remain standing? And now we shall sing together the national and the state anthem. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Muhammad Shafie bin Haji Apdal, Chief Minister of Sabah. Yang Berhormat Dr. Datuk Haji Jaojan bin Haji Sambakong, Deputy Chief Minister cum Minister of Local Government and Housing. Yang Berhormat Honorable Senator Datuk Theodore Douglas Lind. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Haja Masnah Mat Saleh, Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Local Government and Housing. Yang Berbahagia Mr. Edward Ang, Managing Director of Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad. Datuk Sri, Datin Sri, Datuk, Datin, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and members of the press and media and business communities. A very good afternoon to each and every one of you. And on behalf of our host, Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad, I would like to welcome you to the launching ceremony of City Residence. It is indeed an honor to have all of you here with us to witness this very, very auspicious event. And for those who do not know Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad, it is a local Sabah property developer with a vision to make a difference in the property development industry. Associating with a few local developer companies, Wecojaya has a strong team with ample experience, knowledge, and success story in property development area. City Residence would be the first property development project in Kota, Kinabalu. City Residence is an upcoming affordable housing development in Kota Kinabalu that aims to offer an easy and low entry level access for the people of Sabah to own a home through a special program which is called My First Dream Home Program, which is initiated by Yang Berhormat Datuk Dr. Haji Jaujan. Could you please give Yang Berhormat Datuk a round of applause? Congratulations to Yang Berhormat Datuk Dr. Haji Jaujan. And also the Managing Director of Wecojaya, Mr. Edward, said, City Residence is a project development that is very close to his heart. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite him on stage to share with us why it is so important and also the story behind the meaningful initiative on how City Residence project is brought to reality. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Yang Berbahagia, Mr. Edward Ang.
A very good afternoon and warm welcome to our honorable guest, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Muhammad Shafie bin Haji Apdal, the Chief Minister of Sabah, YB Datuk Dr. Haji Jaujan bin Haji Sambakong, Deputy Chief Minister of Sabah, Minister of Local Government and Housing, YB Datuk Senator Douglas Lin, Yang Bahagia Datuk Haja Masna Mat Saleh, Sedia Usaha Tetap KKTP, Datuk-Datuk, Datin-Datin, members of the industry and business community, members of media, and distinguished guests. On behalf of Wecojaya Sdn Bhd, I would like to thank everyone, especially Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Muhammad Shafie bin Haji Apdal, Yang Berhormat Dr. Datuk Haji Jaujan bin Haji Sambakong, Yang Berhormat Senator Datuk Douglas Lin, Yang Bahagia Datuk Haja Masna Mat Saleh, Sedia Usaha Tetap KKTP, and all distinguished guests for making the time to join us today for this momentous event occasion. City Residence is a name given to our project of 4,000 units affordable housing located on the prime land of Alam Masra, Kota Kinabalu City, and initiated by YB Datuk Dr. Haji Jaujan bin Haji Sambakong, who have this vision to see more affordable housing development nearer to the city center to meet the demand of the population within M40 group and below that currently working in government and private sectors in Kota Kinabalu City. Basically, this group of population could not afford to buy high-cost housing unit within the vicinity of the prime city area like Alam Masra. They have to find housing that are more affordable at the outskirts of KK City or even far to the neighbor districts such as Tuaran, Kota Bulut, and Papar. So taking into that consideration, the advice of YB Dr. Haji Jaujan bin Haji Sambakong, we have decided to propose 4,000 units of affordable housing at City Residence. City Residence stands tall on an approximately 21 acres of land in Alam Masra, offer 4,000 units apartment with an approximately built up of 850 square feet that comes with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms It also comes together with a number of facilities such as multi-purpose hall, surau, sport court, children's playground, gym, and etc. We believe in promoting health and wellness lifestyle to the community of city residents. Not only that, this development also comes with 40 units of commercial shop lots to create a community of commercial activities that will address the needs of the housing as well as livelihood. City resident is divided into 3 phases, and phase 1 is expected to groundbreaking on the first quarter of 2021. We target to complete the whole development within 5 years. And our phase 1 will be launched with a selling price of not more than 300,000 per unit. And the best part is, some units actually come with a sea view and Mount Kinabalu view. With this affordable price at such a prime location, we are confident our project will be highly sought after and beneficial to many people. The city residents will open the opportunity to M40 group of population to own their first dream home nearby their workplace, and in the same time, this development would help to reduce to ease the inter-district traffic congestion during peak hour, especially before and after working hours. We, Wecojaya, a local developer, has decided to support this initiative by crafting this affordable development proposal and making it happen. Hence the name, Residency Bandar or City Resident. City Resident is a development that is very close to my heart. And today, we are here to witness the launching of this meaningful, affordable housing project by our Chief Minister of Sabah, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Muhammad Shafie bin Haji Apdal, together with the support from the state government and also our wish as a local developer. We hope to build more affordable housing development like city resident in other districts in near future for our fellow Sabahans, as it is every Sabahan family dreams to be able to own a house to call home. Wecojaya is a property developer that understands the difficulties facing by many people, especially the M40 group and below, when it comes to purchasing a property. Therefore, through city resident, we aim to offer a lower entry-level development to ensure easy access for the people of Sabah to purchase their first home at an affordable price at a prime location in the city center of Kota Kinabalu. Many Sabahans from M40 group and below, especially the government, servants, and private sectors, can now own a home in the city center. With the help and support from the state government agency, through a special program under public-private partnership, we can work together hand in hand to provide more affordable housing development throughout the state. The Minister of Local Government and Housing, YB Datuk Dr. Haji bin Haji Sambakong, has proposed the name of the public-private partnership for affordable housing program as My First Dream Home Program. I hope the state government could make this proposed program become a reality. We also hope that this initiative will assist to stimulate the state economy through property development and its multiplier effects. The impacts and economic growth from property development activities such as increase of economic activities for local suppliers and contractors, government taxation and revenue collection, creating new job opportunity, creating more disposable income in the market will improve the living quality and social benefits to the people of Sabah. It's time for us to kickstart and build and push the button to restart the economy of Sabah Boleh. Last but not least, on behalf of Wecojaya Sendirian Bahad, I also would like to express my gratitude to our Chief Minister, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Muhammad Shafie bin Haji Apdal for his launching, commitment, and support to ensure the success of this affordable housing scheme. Not to forget again, I also would like to thank YB Dr. Datuk Haji Jaujan bin Haji Sambakong for initiating this scheme and giving this support towards city residents, my first Dream Home program. With the support from the state government, late cities residents help to make Sabahan dreams to own a home come true. Thank you.
Thousand thanks to Mr. Edward, Managing Director of Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad. A very passionate man and sensitive towards fellow Sabahans. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is my honor and a great pleasure to invite our guest of honor, the Chief Minister of Sabah, to come on stage to address us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Muhammad Shafie bin Haji Apdal.
Terima kasih, Musi Majlis. Yang berhormat Datuk Dr. Jaujan Haji Sembakong, Timbalan Ketua Menteri merangkap Menteri Kerajaan Tempatan Perumahan. Yang berbahagia Saudara Edward Ong, Managing Director of Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad. Yang berhormat Senator Douglas Lin, yang berbahagia serta tetap Datuk Mazna, ketua-ketua jabatan, hadirin yang dihormati sekalian. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for the invitations granted to me to be with you all this afternoon, launching my first dream home. And it is indeed very important for us to see further development into providing housing facilities to the many who are in need in Sabah. In particular for those low-cost housing, I think it is indeed very important for us to ensure that we can provide that as many as possible so that many people will have access to affordable housing, because we have seen in many parts of the country, like in particular Kuala Lumpur, when people develop housing in all sort of form, it tends to be very costly and very expensive. Not many people can afford that. And some of the people are without house, and they have to rent house as well for the rest of their life. I think it's important for us indeed to ensure not only to encourage many participations coming from the private sectors, but also the government too. I've been looking into how best we can reform to ensure that our outfit, for example, like local government housing, Lembaga Perumahan Negeri Sabah, which is supposed to build houses which is affordable to the many Sabahan in this part of the world. Now, I don't want them to get engaged building housing costing 400,000, 500,000, or even more than that, and also a limited number, because they're meant to set up to ensure that they can provide this facility for those people who cannot afford. Because otherwise, there will be many people who with less cost of income monthly for them to earn a living, and they have to spend monies that they cannot afford to spend otherwise for other means. They have to use all to buy housing facilities for themselves and for the future of their children. I think it is indeed very crucial for us to have a proper policy, and also getting the people involved from various sectors, not only coming from the government government should also try its level best to facilitate, not compete with the private sectors. But it's indeed very important for us to help each other to ensure that we can provide affordable housing, in particular with those people who have enough land. I'm glad to see that Dr. Edward here, I was made to understand by Dr. Jaujan, this is my first meeting with you, but Dr. Jaujan briefed me that you have land as well, not only in Kota Kinabalu, and also located in so many places, and I do hope that you can build many more housing facilities, but that can be affordable to the many people in Sabah. I think this is indeed very crucial, particularly when you have a land which is located in the area which is near to the city. So I think it is indeed very important for us to inculcate an inclusive kind of approach of living kind of environment, where not only the rich people can have that sort of facilities in the city area, while the poor too can afford to own housing, can afford to own house. Otherwise, there will be disparity in balance kind of populations in particular area, where some of the people living in a big bungalow, while on the other side, you can imagine that people are living in a stengan, in a house which they cannot afford. And they encroach into properties not only belong to the government, but also belong to individual private sectors too. It is happening everywhere in Kota Kinabalu. And also I would like to see that in the future, when we do development, it must be a proper kind of planning done. I don't want, end of the day, I was in the morning launching the landscape for Kota Kinabalu, which I think it's time for us to have a proper planning, and it must be adhered to. When there is already a plan, master plan, for example, in particular district or area, it must be adhered, it must be followed. We cannot just be contractor-driven or driven by the profit. When there's a housing project, for example, like what you have noticed, an example like when you pass by Jalan Tuaran in Likas there, I've been citing this as an example. Many times I mentioned that. While you have housing in one particular area, and by the side of that particular bungalow, you also have a church. And by the side of the church, you have where they have restaurant, shop lots. And on the other hand, the car dealers is a mismatched kind of development. When it is meant for housing, resident, it must be for residents. You know, this is something that's really, we have to relook. I've already instructed the Ministry of Local Government. A proper planning must be done in Sabah. When you have a housing area, it is meant for housing. When it is meant for some kind of workshop and everything, it should not be bundled together, mixed it around. When people want to have peace in life after working so hard in their own offices or in their own business kind of activities, they got engaging and involved, and yet, end of the day, you can hear people knocking by the side of their door, by their neighbors, because you can't control them, because they said, well, this is my property, I can do what I want to. So that should not be happening. It is indeed very important, very crucial for us as a government to ensure that we must have a proper planning when we do development. Saya berharap usaha pihak kerajaan untuk memastikan supaya kita dapat membangun negeri ini dengan begitu lengkap. I can't be speaking English because otherwise if they violate to the rural area, election is coming, they won't understand what I'm saying. They might understand, but it's indeed very important for me to disseminate info where people can easily comprehend it. So I think saya harap dengan adanya langkah seumpama ini, kita berharap akan ada perumahan-perumahan yang ada di negeri Sabah ini bukan hanya dibina semata-mata untuk masyarakat yang ada keupayaannya. Ada kekayaan dia untuk mereka membeli setiap kemudahan perumahan yang ada. Kita perlu adunkan bila kita adakan pembangunan perumahan dengan rumah-rumah yang mampu milik, di mana masyarakat kita dapat memiliki rumah. Kita tidak mau masyarakat beli rumah, tapi rumah itu cuma sewa saja. Sewa, lepas itu sampai seumur hidup. There were times in KL, I remember, when I was then the Deputy Minister of Local Housing, when I was a Minister of Housing in KL for almost how many years. And then one can imagine, bila dia dapat beli rumah, sewa saja. Daripada bapak dia sewa, anak dia sewa, cucu dia sewa. They don't have the privilege to own the house. Kita perkenalkan sewa beli. Sewa beli pun kadang-kadang mahal juga. Tidak mampu mereka untuk membeli, tapi sewa itu must be affordable yang ada. Itu yang kita nakkan supaya peranan kerajaan, khususnya Kementerian Perumahan, pasal itu namanya Kementerian Perumahan. Dan kita wujudkan landasan LPPB, Lembaga Perumahan Negeri Sabah, untuk membolehkan supaya kita dapat membina rumah-rumah yang ada supaya cluster of those people, pasal akan ada anak-anak kampung yang graduate untuk datang ke bandar cari kerja, tapi dalam mereka cari kerja, mereka tidak mempunyai rumah, terpaksa menyewa. Gaji bayar sewa rumah, gaji bayar CCM kereta, gaji bayar bil air, bayar bil elektrik, bayar utang sana. End of the day, the earning possibly around just 50 ringgit or 100 ringgit a month. So one can imagine how can they have the luxuries to send the money to their family back home in the rural area. And it is meant for us to ensure that we can facilitate that as a government, supaya rakyat di negeri ini mempunyai harta, mempunyai pemilikan dia, di samping itu tidak akan membebankan mereka. Of course we can build free of house. Adalah percuma, saya masih ingat dahulu bila saya bina rumah PPRT 50 mula saya bina, masa saya Menteri Kampung 5 tahun, saya buat kajian mula RM40,000. RM40,000 satu unit. Lepas itu saya buat kajian cuma satu bilik saja. So saya beritahu buat dasar, jangan satu bilik. Macam mana orang mau tidur kalau satu bilik? Kalau anak dia 3 orang, 4 orang, di situ mamak tidur, di situ budak belajar. There's no privacy. You can't create society, you can't create family's environment. It's so conducive to live when there's no privacy. It's not a healthy environment. Kita nak lahirkan rakyat kita dalam keadaan hidup yang begitu selesa, tapi mereka mampu milik untuk menikmati kemudahan. And that's why we upgraded daripada 40,000, lepas itu 50,000, 3 bilik perumahan-perumahan ada untuk PPRT yang mungkin kita katakan rumahnya tidaklah dibuat daripada konkrit. Konkrit pun tidaklah begitu mahal kosnya, tapi sekurang-kurangnya mereka mempunyai keselesaan untuk mendapat sebuah rumah milik mereka. Jadi saya amat mengeluhkan usaha yang dilakukan dengan adanya pada hari ini bertingkat mampu milik, dan saya yakin ini merupakan satu kawasan di Kota Kinabalu, tidak jauh dari, saya ingat pejabat saya pada mestikannya, tidak jauh, dia dekat. So saya yakin orang akan beli untuk memastikan mereka di situ banyak kemudahan. Di situ ada pejabat kerajaan, tidak jauh daripada perumahan pelabuhan, tidak jauh daripada UMS yang ada mungkin pelajar-pelajar pula boleh menyewa. Tapi jangan galakkan sangat orang beli. You must manage it, because there are people who can afford, there are people who cannot afford. Sometimes we have a mismatch of development yang ada. Bila kita buat POIC di Datuk is meant to entice investors to build factories in POIC. But unfortunately, we encourage people to buy the land. Bukan industry setting up. And they become land seller. POIC become the land seller, dia jual tanah, lepas itu tidak ada kilang dia. POIC was set up untuk industri. Jadi syarat kita longgarkan pasal orang mau beli tanah. Lepas dia beli tanah, orang itu bagi sewa, bagi jual. Government give land to some of our GLC is meant for certain purposes. Jangan kita ada tanah, lepas itu kerajaan bagi tanah kepada GLC, lepas itu dia jual kepada pihak-pihak tertentu, lepas itu tidak dilakukannya, sehingga kadang-kadang yang mampu milik pun kita tidak ada. Sewa beli pun tidak berlaku di sepanjang perjalanan dia. Jadi saya berharap hadirin yang dihormati sekalian, kita dapat menstruktur semula sistem pentadbiran negeri Sabah dengan dasar-dasarnya yang membolehkan supaya kita dapat susun dengan baik. Jadi saya berharap kita galakkan pembinaan perumahan, tapi mesti ada rancangan yang rapi. Kalau itu perumahannya, jangan adunkan dengan industri-industri yang agak berhampiran. Pasal kalau ada kilang KKIP yang tidak jauh, lepas itu mungkin involve chemical ada pollution environment affecting them and can cause people's health and life end of the day. So saya berharap tuan-tuan dan puan-puan dengan adanya langkah pada hari ini daripada sebuah syarikat swasta yang juga berkecimpung dalam bidang pembinaan Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad, ini merupakan satu usaha yang perlu kita galakkan, dan saya harap ramai lagi usaha ini yang tampil ke hadapan pihak swasta yang mempunyai tanah untuk terlibat dalam pembinaan rumah. Dan saya dah nyatakan, I've seen the CEO SDB here in the board of directors Sabah Development Bank, Sabah Credit, I was made to understand too. Dan saya dah buat dasar, whatever money, how much ever money that you have in the bank, make sure use it for Sabah development, not for KL development. Gone are the days. That money belong to Sabah. That money belong to Sabah. It doesn't belong to. They have enough money to develop Kuala Lumpur. We don't have enough money. We have been waiting for how many rancangan RM10, RM9, RM9, RM11. Now coming to rancangan Malaysia ke-12. Berbagai rancangan, sudah 60 tahun. Di negara kita, rancangan after rancangan, tapi malangnya jangan cerita tentang jalan raya, jangan cerita tentang bekalan elektrik, jangan cerita tentang bekalan air, jangan cerita tentang sekolah. Sekolah kita masih banyak berpapan. Masih ada sekolah yang tidak ada elektrik, masih ada sekolah tidak ada air, masih ada sekolah yang tidak cukup tandas. Anak-anak kalau buang najis, lari pergi atas bukit untuk buang. Lari pergi hutan seberang sana. So this is the thing that we cannot accept after having achieved an independence for many years. And you can see and imagine how indeed it is very crucial for us to have a proper planning, a comprehensive, and it must be actions taken and in line with what the people desire on the ground. Ini yang kita nakkan. Jadi saya selaku pentadbir CEO the State Government Sabah, I'm here to facilitate. I'm only providing as a bridge for all the Sabahan to ensure that we can help them to have a better life. It is not my position that to enrich myself. So when all the contractor, you can be friendly to me, but use the money to develop the state-nya dah. Ya, jadi ini yang saya nakkan. Ya, saya tidak mau nanti besok, I mentioned that, power is very sexy. Once you have the power, is indeed very sexy. Before you have the power, your look is still the same. Some of our ministers, some of our people, there's no change. Ada yang ada rambut, ada yang tidak ada rambut, ada yang perut buncit, ada yang kurus kering. But the moment you have the power, all of a sudden you look very attractive. Not only attractive to the woman, you also attractive to the business people, contractor. Itu yang saya bimbang. We have to have that sort of red line yang ada clarity in our values. When we run the state, the country, we must put aside our personal interests. Building a nation is indeed very important for us. When you want to build nations, you are voted in to be government of the day. Don't abuse the power. Don't have excessive kind of lust for wealth for yourself. But what is important, that when you have the power, use that to utilize, to ensure that it will be for benefit of the people, because that is way that you have been voted in as a bridge. Orang kampung bila undi dengan kita, they look at me from a distance. Can I trust this guy to run Sabah, or is he the same like the other guy? Those guys, for many years we have been governed for many years. Wow, ini yang saya nak. That's why sometimes when I hear a message coming from KL, if you don't work with KL, federal government, Sabah will suffer. We have been suffering for the last 60 years. Don't tell me that without your guys, we will suffer. We have been suffering. And Kelantan has been governed by opposition for more than 40 years. Penang has been governed by opposition for more than 10 years. And yet you cannot survive when you don't work with federal government. Come on, that is not the way we can survive, I can tell you guys. Yeah, irrespective of what. But what is important, as indicated, federal government, government G to G, we can work together. But not at expenses that we forgo what we have in this part of the world. We are so rich in terms of, you name it, resource that we have. I can spell out easily, oil, we are the biggest. We have the biggest reserve of oil in the country. 37% reserve that we have in the country, about 1.8 billion barrel we have. And we are the producer, the biggest one. But yet, how much do we get from that sort of richness of resources that we have? And we are the second biggest, I think, if I'm mistaken, second to Sarawak, or even better than Sarawak in terms of CPO, plantations of palm oil. And yet we are the downstream in Sabah. Second biggest for gas in the country. And yet the state is known for being so rich in terms of resources, and the numbers of the poor, hardcore poor, is the biggest, reported under World Bank in 2010. Sabah has the biggest number of the hardcore poor in this part of the world. Jadi saya harap sungguh kita melihat keadaan ini, we have to speak up. We have to do our part. We cannot be just looking at it of our personal interests. I don't mind. To me, I've gone through my political career with so many obstacles in my life. I've been jailed for almost 2 weeks, sleeping on the floor without pillows, without mattresses, being the former senior cabinet ministers after serving my country for 32 years. And I've gone through all these sort of things in life. So what is important, it is high time for us to have clarity in our values, and we have to have firm decisions in our life. What is right for our fellow Sabahan, for the state of Sabah, we must do, as whatever the obstacles are. In God we trust, unite we must, for the change, for the good of our people in Sabah. It doesn't mean that when I highlighted it, we had all these people coming from Semenanjung. No, we don't have them. It's only the policies. It's only the way that country is managed. I love the people from Peninsula because my wife is also from Kedah. I got so many siblings. My granddaughter from Muar, granddaughter from Sarawak, Chinese there. So it's all blend well. But what is important, it is indeed very important for us to make sure that we have to realize that for our Sabahan and the state to prosper, we have to devote not only our effort, our energy, the minds that we have to ensure that we can develop. You can imagine, look at Kota Kinabalu. It's such a beautiful city, you know. It has been my dream. Last year, I called the Korean. I want to build up a cable car from here to Pulau Gaya there. I called him up from Korea. I said, build up a cable car to make sure that we can reach out in that particular area, connect it to some of the resort, and you can have a higher end there where you can have restaurant on top and you can enjoy your life having honeymoon after your wedding functions at this venue, SICC. After that, you can have a honeymoon through a cable car. And it's dream. You can imagine that. I have really planned for that. But unfortunately, we were faced with 2 COVID. One is COVID-19, the other one is COVID politics in Sabah. So that was very unfortunate. But it doesn't mean that that is the end of the road. We must pursue that. We must make sure. I will inform just now in the morning when I launched the landscape for Kota Kinabalu, there must be waterfront there to make sure they're open up. Just like a restaurant in Prande, and some of the land belong to the state government as well as DBKK and Yayasan Sabah, set up a waterfront restaurant there, yeah, comprising not only for those who can afford the high end there, so that tourists can come over, and also the local can spend by having a dinner or lunch in that particular area, and in the evening you can have a boat ride. And that must be done, and it can be done. We are not just having the dream here, but I think what is important, unfortunately, I've been just here for 2 years. I can't mention that, I can't realize it within 2 years. Even a small baby, if you're 2 years old, you can't even run, you know. And I've just taken over for the last 2 years, but of course, That is not the reason that we cannot do something. When I took over the government, one of the particular things that I installed is that I have to unite the Sabahan first. That's very crucial. If you can't unite the people, then nothing can move. Whatever initiative, even how good the planning and the policies that you have, if the people are divided because of race and religion, and it's very divisive, people will tend to influence by their own kind of DNA. But I do hope that in Sabah it will not materialize. But unfortunately, I've seen this, and I've noticed this. In these elections, I've never seen so many parties cropping up. So many parties cropping up, from LDP, SAPP, PCS, so many of them, and all sort of things just highlighting what they want to do. And I do hope that Sabahan will not be divided just because there's so many parties. They should be able to judge who can run, who can administer. I don't have much money, just like Musa Aman, he got plenty of money and handing over, buying people, buying boats. Yeah, but I do hope, judge us not by the money, judge us by what service that we can render to the state of Sabah. So with that, I do hope that with this launching of housing, affordable housing, my first dream for this one, and it can benefit the people, particularly not only those, the poor, and many more. I do hope not only the local housing, but some of the private sectors can build up house which can be bought by not only those poor people, but affordable people too. Yeah? So there will be a mix of development in Kota Kinabalu. Jadi saya ucapkan juga terima kasih. Sorry for my voice, I've been speaking, I've been delivering speeches a day, almost 5 in a day. There was one occasion more than 5, running from Kota Mururu, running to Kota Kinabalu. But I do hope that we pray to God, give us a good health, the strength to ensure that we can develop Sabah and for the people of Sabah. And the institutions I've already indicated to SDB, Sabah Credit Corporations, yeah, make sure the money, as you know, yeah, don't spend the money else, yeah. And Sabah Credit, I've already provided this year alone 137 million for all those micro credit, zero interest, for all the IKS, small and medium scale industry, less than 3%. So those guys who involved in SME, doing all sort of things, biscuit and all sort of things in the rural area which can provide job to the many. Just now in the afternoon, I was there just now, down there, where there was a jobs matching together with some of the companies. They provide about 1,600 jobs for the people. But how many of them turn up? More than 3,000 people turn up. And I think there will be some 2,000 people who will be somehow, not I hope, upset, because they will be going back home without that sort of jobs opportunity. Yeah? It's just like in elections. I've noticed from morning to afternoon until midnight, until 1 o'clock in the morning, they will be knocking at my doors, sending their biodata. One area, there's about 20 of them to become candidate. Well, I do hope that when decision is made, there's only one to be chosen. So I hope those 19 will not be upset. What is important for us is just like what I said just now, jobs has been there, only 1,600. I told them next year, I want all the companies operating in Sabah, Petronas, you name it, Shell, those guys who are here in Sabah, I want them to be there next year, and I want to know how many of these people can provide jobs to all the Sabahan. And it is indeed very important for us to build it up, but we cannot force those companies to absorb people who doesn't have the skill. But we must have a proper structure. That's why I set up Ministry of Education. And when we set up Ministry of Education, I did indicate to them the way forward, create TVET, where you can upskill our people, train them very well, and match them up with the industries. What sort of skill industries required? And it is very crucial the moment they graduated, whether having the proper skill or diplomas, they'll be there with job. I don't want, end of the day, the parents send their children, they sponsor. The moment the children graduated, parents still sponsor. The moment they get married with children, the parents still sponsor. Because why? There's no job for them. And that is indeed very crucial to review, to restructure, and reform the policy to ensure that we set up the Ministry of Education. It's not a waste. Some people claim we are setting up Ministry of Education is a waste. It is still 10 ministries. There's no 20 ministries. In KL, they set up how many ministers? More than 72 ministers. But here, it is still contained at 10. But I restructure it, reform it. I rename it. Why? Because I want to prioritize education, because education is indeed very important for our young Sabahan. And why I name it Ministry of Health? There was no Ministry of Health. Can you imagine? No one realized that COVID-19 will come to the world. And this is one of the most dangerous epidemic. We have never faced this. We have faced so many crises, financial crises, you can recover. Company can be bankrupted. People can be still, they're selling their property, their houses during financial crisis. But this one, COVID-19, it is not only about people get bankrupted, multinational companies suffered in not only developing nations, mostly in many developed nations, but it also costs human life. Financial crisis doesn't help. I wonder if there's any of them kill themselves just because of they went bust in business. But I do realize that the number of people getting contact and diseases like COVID-19 is increasing in number, and it's very concerning for us. And that was the reason why I set up the Ministry of Health. And one of the many reasons that I did was to ensure that we must improvise our infrastructure facilities. In Sabah, there are hospitals without specialists. There are hospitals with doctors but not specialists. There are hospitals with doctors with specialists but not enough medicines. Ini yang kita bimbang. Ada hospital, tidak ada doktor. Ada hospital, ada doktor, tidak ada pakar. Pakar dia tidak ada, cuma JP saja, General Practitioner yang ada. Sakit jantung pakar tidak ada. Kalau orang sempurna sakit jantung, lari pergi ke Tawau. Di Tawau pun tidak ada pakar jantung, lari pergi KK. Kalau lari KK, sampai KK, dia sudah goal. Lama sangat. Tidak ada tempat dia. Dan ini yang kita nakkan. I want to review, I want to restructure the system to make sure that it can be level up with the requirement, the needs of the people in this part of the world. Terima kasih banyak. Dengan kata itu, saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Kementerian Perajaan Tempatan Perumahan dan juga pemaju perumahan ini. Dan mudah-mudahan dengan adanya 4,000 unit perumahan bertingkat mampu milik akan dapat dinikmati oleh masyarakat yang mereka ini mampu milik. So the management of this company make sure manage it properly. Saya tidak mahu dia berlaku macam POIC. Kerajaan bagi tanah sama Ladatu POIC, dia jual tanah. Itu untuk industri, bukan untuk tukang jual tanah. Lepas itu, saya mahu perumahan ini meant for those people. That's why they said affordable housing, mampu milik for those people yang tidak mampu. Jangan pula rumah-rumah 4,000 unit, 1,000 sana punya syarikat beli semua 1,000, lepas itu dikasih sewa semua orang yang bertingkat-tingkat. You know, that is not supposed to be done. And if we do that, then whatever the target, the objective, will never be realized. So saya berharap walaupun pembangunan yang ada, kita ada SDB Bank, kita ada Sabah Kredit yang boleh membantu untuk memajukan negeri Sabah ini. Sabah Bank juga saya telah gunakan untuk pembangunan papar dam yang ada itu. Ya, kena papar dam ni is very crucial. Bila saya bincang dengan pelabur, ada satu pelabur dari Korea datang ke Sabah, lepas itu dia tanya saya, dia nak melabur, few hundred millions US dollar. But unfortunately, bila dia bincang-bincang, satu bakalan air tidak cukup, kedua bakalan elektrik, harganya, rate-nya terlampau tinggi. So they found out it's cheaper to have it in Sarawak, so they moved the investment in Sarawak. So that is business opportunity for gone. Because why? We didn't have the proper structure, infrastructure, basic things that we required for enticing investors to come in this part of the world. So it's time for us to have a bold move, irrespective of what, to to ensure that we can install that sort of infrastructure for the betterment of our getting investors coming into Sabah. Terima kasih, sekian, terima kasih banyak.
Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri, could you please kindly remain on stage? Thank you very much for highlighting issues, and also thank you for your official address. Ladies and gentlemen, looks like the main highlight of today's event is now, and that is the official launching ceremony of city residents. Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad will be unveiling its project. And now, I would like also to be present on stage. We have Yang Berhormat Datuk Haji Jaujan, Deputy Chief Minister, Minister of Local Government and Housing, and Mr. Edward Ang, Managing Director of Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's all witness this auspicious event. To our esteemed guests on stage, let's begin our important mission this afternoon. And with this, I would like to invite our guests of honor to please kindly raise your hand to the scanner to be rectified at the count of 1, 2, 3. Congratulations to Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad. City Residence is now officially launched. And right now, our host would like to present a token of appreciation to our distinguished guests for their participation and support. And this, I would like to invite Mr. Edward Ang to present the souvenirs to our guest of honor, the Chief Minister of Sabah, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Mohd Shafie bin Haji Apdal. On behalf of Wecojaya Sendirian Berhad, we would like to extend our sincere thanks to our guest of honor, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Mohd Shafie bin Haji Apdal, Chief Minister of Sabah. And next, we would like to present a souvenir to Yang Berhormat Dr. Datuk Haji Jaujan, Deputy Chief Minister Minister of Local Government and Housing, KKTP. Thank you, gentlemen. You may return to your seat. And there you are, once again, ladies and gentlemen. Good news for fellow Sabahans. And looks like we have 4,000 units of affordable homes coming your way. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's event. And on behalf of our host, I wish to thank everyone for taking time out to join us today. And it's truly an honor to have your participation and support. Please enjoy the refreshments which is now being served, and have a wonderful evening. And for your information to all our members of the press and media, we will be having a press conference later on after refreshments, and we will gather on the left-hand side at the back of the ballroom. Thank you very much, and once again, have a pleasant evening.